Hi. If you're in the US, I hope you all had a good Thanksgiving. I had quite a few meals with family and friends, and now my diet plans are ruined. Now, I gotta make sure that I lose some weight before Christmas and New Year's so I can ruin my diet again when that time rolls around. Anyways, without further ado, The Odin 75 is one of the new boards that PBTfans released for Black Friday, and is a successor to the original Odin keyboard. Unlike the Odin 75 features a smaller and more popular 75% layout. It's one that I prefer compared to the 1800 layout featured in the Odin V1 and V2, since I don't really use a numpad. 75% keyboards also give me more desk space for my mouse and makes my desk look a little bit less cluttered. Even though they share the same namesake, the two boards are quite different, with the main similarity being the fact that the Odin V2 and Odin 75 both feature PVD aluminum weights. They don't even share the same badge on the top, since the original Odin featured a Valk nut, while the Odin 75 has an OLED screen badge. I personally think that this is a big upgrade because it can be more functional or interactive, which PBTfans shows off with a cute cat animation that moves when you type. The placement of the badge means that the right column, which usually features some navigation keys, has to be rearranged, which does make it look somewhat similar to the Iki68 Aurora and some other 65% keyboards. It doesn't look bad in my opinion, but it's definitely different compared to other 70% keyboards. I think that the Odin 75 is a big upgrade in terms of design language from the Odin, with a more streamlined look from all angles of the board. It could definitely be a bit of prejudice / bias that I might have against 1800 keyboards, but I very much do prefer the overall look of the Odin 75. $319 is a fair price for a keyboard in my opinion, and lands this keyboard in the mid-range level in terms of custom keyboard pricing. It does come with two plates, one polycarb and one FR4, which is pretty nice since it gives you more choices. What's also pretty nice about this board is that it's estimated to ship at the end of January 2023, which means that you should be getting this keyboard in a pretty short time frame. Of course, as always, do take the estimate with a grain of salt, since delays are quite common in this hobby, but hopefully it won't be too bad. While researching for this week's group buy video, I wasn't really interested in most of the things I found, other than the tinyneko. Normally, I don't like 60% keyboards because I like my arrow keys, but this keyboard is just too cute. The tinyneko is quite similar to the bakeneko, and as a result, it does work with bakeneko 60 compatible PCBs. There is quite a good selection of PCBs available, so I do know that there are some PCBs out there that support arrow keys if you want. The mounting style is of course O-ring gasket mount, where the PCB and plate will essentially be mounted inside the keyboard, with the friction between the case and the O-ring holding it inside. It's a tried and true mounting style, and it offers a pretty good typing feel and sound. The tinyneko comes in both aluminum and PC, and while all of them look pretty cute, I do prefer polycarb by far. I really like how you can see the internal weight from the bottom view of the keyboard, and I'm a sucker for the sound profile of PC boards. That being said, the board isn't all that cheap, with the case being $275, or the full build version being priced at $325. The weight of the board is made of copper, which is definitely a major contributor to that price tag, but considering the fact that you can get a full build bakeneko 60 for $134.99, I'm sure that for some, it can be a hard pill to swallow. Now, one major factor to consider is that Canon Keys is a way larger vendor, and probably sells a lot of these keyboards, so as a result, they're able to keep the cost lower, while the tinyneko will be a smaller unit run. The bakeneko 60 cases are also casted aluminum rather than CNC, which is a cheaper production method. So far, I've been pretty positive about this board, but I do think that it's important to address the elephant in the room. Some of you may have noticed that the design and weight is quite similar to the MOMOKA Mondrian, which is a 40% keyboard. In the original, now deleted IC, the designer of the tinyneko did mention that the tinyneko was an inspiration to the keyboard, but it does feel like they straight up copied the design and changed the bottom weight to another design. It's always a tricky topic in this hobby for both keycaps and keyboard design, but I feel like people tend to be more clear-cut regarding keyboards. I'm not about to go on a deep dive in this topic today, but I thought I'd just point this out for people who may be unaware. I was hoping that maybe the designer would respond with their own reasons, and maybe even provide some proof where they reached out to Singa and got their approval, but unfortunately, it looks like they simply deleted their IC and GB posts and even some of their comments. They probably did so because they were receiving a lot of heat from the comments, but it's definitely not a good look to just delete stuff rather than respond in a calm and logical manner. In terms of value for this keyboard, If you're simply looking for performance, as in typing feel and sound, the tinyneko probably isn't the best option for you, and you should definitely go for something like the Bakeneko 60. However, if you do really like the aesthetics of the tinyneko, this board just might be worth it.